Good morning, everyone. Today we will discussing The Boy in the Script Pajamas, a film based on the Holocaust during World War II. Although the story is told through the eye of children, it raises important ethical questions about humanity, friendship, virtue, and moral responsibility. Today we will discuss 5 questions. The first one, why Bruno became friends with Samuel, why love can exist in an environment filled with hatred, how the film related to the idea of good, whether virtue ethics appears in the film, which moral principles the Nazis violated. Let's begin with our first questions. Vincent?
So, the first question is, what moves Bruno to enter into a relationship with the chef or Joe Samuel? I think Bruno became friends with Samuel because he was still an innocent child. Unlike the adults around him, Bruno had not yet been influenced by Nazi propaganda or prejudice. When Bruno first met Samuel, he didn't see him as a Jew. He simply saw another lonely boy who was about the same age as him. Both boys were isolated and wanted companionship. Bruno was naturally curious. He asked many questions about the fence, the camp, and Samuel's life. As they spent more time together, curiosity gradually became genuine friendship. This shows that prejudice is not something people are born with. It is something they learn from society.
That's very an interesting point. Children often judge other by kindness rather than by race or religion. Teisu, why can a different attitude loving a Jewish friend arise from an environment that hates Jewish?
Believe Bruno friendship with Samurai demonstrate that personal experience can overcome social prejudice. Although Bruno family and teacher constantly touch him that Jews were enemies, Bruno's own experience completely contradicted those teachings. He saw that Samuel was kind, polite, and harmless. Instead of believing the stereotype, Bruno trusts what he personally observed. This reflects an important ethical lesson. Love and empathy often develop through direct human relationships. Once we truly know someone, it becomes much harder to hate them based on label. Definitely remind us that hate is usually learned, while compassion comes naturally when we recognize another person's humanity.
Okay, I agree with that, Lisa. And the adults in the film feel Jewish as a group, but Bruno feels Samuel as an individual. The difference completely changed his attitude. So, uh, explain the relationship between the film and the idea of good at the end of the film. Where's the good?
This questions connects well with the Irish Murdoch's philosophy. Murdoch argued that the good is not about the power or personal success, but about seeing others truthfully with love and attention. In the film, the Nazis believed they were doing something good for Germany, but their actions were actually based on hatred and false belief. Bruno, however, represents genuine goodness. He never stops seeing Samuel as his friend. Even at the end of the movie, Bruno chooses to enter the concentration camp to help Samuel find his missing father. He knows it is very dangerous, yet he refuses to abandon his friend. Ir- Ironically, ironically, the greatest act of goodness happens in the darkness place imaginable. The ending is tragic because Bruno dies alongside Samuel in the gas chamber. But morally speaking, Bruno's love, loyalty, and compassion remains the true good and the true story. The film suggests that goodness can survive even in the middle of evil. Finton, is there a trace of virtue ethics in the film?
Yes, definitely. The film reflects both Aristotelian and Christian virtue ethics. From Aristotle's perspective, virtue is about developing good character, and Bruno demonstrates virtues such as kindness, honesty, courage, friendship, and compassion. These virtues guide his action naturally. From the Christian perspective, the greatest virtue is love. Jesus taught people to love their neighbors regardless of the social differences. Bruno unknowingly lives out this teaching. He treats Samuel with dignity despite everyone around him doing the opposite. In contrast, many adults possess power but lack future. The Nazi officers obey orders, but they lack compassion, justice, and also humanity. The film therefore shows that true morality comes from the good character, not simply following the authority. So, Tesu, uh, which basic moral principle did the Nazis violate?
So the Nazi violated almost every basic moral principle. First, they violate respect for human dignity. They treat you as less than human instead of recognizing their equal worth. Second, they violate justice. People were imprisoned and killed simply because of their ethnicity, not because of anything they had done. Third, they violate name maleficent, which means do no harm. Instead of protecting life, they cause suffering, torture, starving, and mass murder. Fourth, they violate the beneficent. Rather than helping others, they intentionally harm innocent people. First, they violate the honesty and trustfulness by spreading propaganda aligned to justify discrimination and genocide. The Holocaust is one of the history clear example of what happened when fundamental moral principles are abandoned.
Basically, to conclude, the boy in the striped pajamas teaches us that goodness is not determined by race, nationality, or political ideology. Bruno reminds us that friendship, compassion, and love are stronger than hatred. The film also shows that virtue begins with how we see other people, not as labels, but as fellow human beings. Finally, it reminds us that when society ignores basic moral principles such as justice, respect, and compassion, terrible consequences can follow. Thank you for all listening. We hope these discussions help us to reflect on the importance of practicing humanity and moral courage in our own lives.